Welcome to TVS Riding Academy. I'm Sai Praveen and I head the Vehicle Dynamics and Ergonomics division at TVS R&D. In part 1 of this series, we have gone through the terminologies that you must know as a rider related to the suspension. In this part, we are going to talk about how to adjust your suspension. But before we dive into adjusting your suspension, let us understand the options you have in your Apache RR310. You have adjustment for preload on both your forks. You have adjustment for compression damping on your right fork, you have adjustment of rebound damping on your left fork, and you have adjustment of preload and rebound damping on your rear shock. The tools you need to adjust your suspension are a preload adjuster cap, an Allen key, rear suspension preload adjustment tool, and a screwdriver. In case you don't have a screwdriver, don't worry. We have engineered the key to act as a screwdriver as well. Before you get into adjusting the suspension, it is important to consider where you're riding the bike and how you're riding the bike. For example, if you want to drive on the urban roads, you expect the suspension to take up the small undulations and speed breakers that are present on the road, as well as you expect to ride at speeds about 50-60 kmph. The bike is already set up for this kind of ride conditions coming out of factory, and all you need to do is to adjust the preload based on the weight the motorcycle is carrying. The bike's preload is set to carry 65 kgs. If you are carrying more weight, you need to increase the preload. If you are carrying less weight, you need to decrease the preload suitably. Now that we have understood how to set your bike for urban riding, let us see what we need to do for touring. In touring, you are expected to ride at higher speeds, and knowing the Indian roads, you should always be prepared for someone crossing suddenly, for which you need to brake hard, and the suspension needs to ensure that the bike is stable while braking hard. Let us see how to adjust the suspension for touring setup. Adjusting the suspension needs a reference point. And the reference point in your Apache RR310 is to the right end. Let me show you how you first take it to the right end. So use a screwdriver and then gently rotate the screw on the top all the way to the right. Make sure that you don't put too much force, otherwise you could damage the suspension. So I have set the compression fork all the way to the end now. Let me now do it for the rebound. Now both are set to the right end, and the recommendation we have given in the manual for touring with a solo rider and some luggage is 8 clicks for your compression damping, 10 clicks for your rebound damping, and 10 clicks for the rebound damping on the rear shocks. Let me now show you how do we do the 8 clicks for compression damping. So anti-clockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go to the rebound damping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And similarly, you need to do 10 clicks from the right end on your rear shocks as well. The preload can remain as per the factory settings. And to know whether your preload is on factory settings or not, you can count the rings that are there on your front suspension. You need to see 5 rings above your suspension. That means the preload is set to the factory setting. These are the settings when you're touring solo. In case you want to carry a pillion, we recommend to take your compression damping to 7 clicks instead of 8 clicks, and the rebound damping to 7 clicks instead of the 10 clicks, and leave the rebound damping on the shocks to 10 clicks. Apart from the adjustment on the damping, you need to also adjust the preload, and that is by using this adapter cap and an Allen key. You just fit the cap onto your forks and rotate it in the clockwise direction to increase your preload. You need to increase the preload all the way to its maximum level, and you can see that by looking at these rings. You should not be able to see any ring when you adjust to the maximum. The preload adjustment of the rear shock also needs to be increased when you are touring with duals, and you need to put it on the 6th notch instead of the standard 3rd notch. We've talked about how to set your bike up for urban riding, and we've talked about how you set up your bike for touring. Now let's talk about the last scenario, but not the least, the place where the RR310 has been designed. Yes, the racetrack. On a racetrack, you need the bike to be at its peak performance, and the suspension needs to aid in this. The main role of suspension on a racetrack is to keep the tires on contact with the ground during all the hard maneuvers, hard braking, and hard acceleration that you do in your Apache RR310. Let me explain how do you set the suspension for racetrack. As I told you before, you need to take the suspension all the way to the right, which is the point of reference, and then do 7 clicks rearward on your compression damping, 2 clicks rearward on your rebound damping, and 2 clicks rearward on the rebound damping of rear shocks. The preload remains the same standard setting for a 65 kg rider. Now remember, all that we have discussed till now is just a guide. The most important thing is for you to ride your bike and understand the differences between the settings. This will help you understand what to expect and how to set your bike up for the next ride. If you have any questions from this, please let us know in the comment section or reach us out on the social media handles. Thank you for watching. See you.